Here is another StrataScratch problem, retention rates. That is a Salesforce and meta question. And this is one of the most practical questions that you can have because every company is going to be analyzing retention rate with employees and customers. And this question is labeled hard and it is pretty challenging, but we will definitely solve it pretty easily here in about 20 lines of code. First thing we're going to have to do is get each account separated by December 2020 and January 2021. I'm going to do that first before we dive into the rest of the core problem. So the first thing we need to do is select the user ID from the table, where user ID in, and now we need to select the user ID from the table again, where the year date is equal to 2020 and the year or the month date is equal to 12. And let's make sure that runs really quick. And that so this is all the counts by December 2020. However, we need to group this by the account ID. We don't really care about what users are in it. We just need to know how many users there were by account ID for that. So we're going to call this as count1, and let's make sure this runs. And this is exactly what we want. So this is the count ID. It had 9 basically users. The next thing we're going to have to do is save this as December 2020. And now we're going to have to basically do this again, except for January 2021. So January 2021 as the same thing. However, we need to change this to 2021 and change this to 1. And let's run this really quick. So let's select all from the December 2020. There we go, typo. December 2020. Now it should run with December 2020 as. It's much harder to talk and explain things and code at the same time than you realize. So here we go. This is what it looks like. Select everything from 2020. And we're going to call this D. And we're going to have to select the account ID. And then we're going to call it the D, and then D.count1 from here. Inner join the January 2021 J. So we're inner joining these two tables, the January table and the December table, by account ID. So let's inner join them on D.account ID is equal to J.account ID. Let's make sure this runs. And great, that runs. But what we need to do is essentially get, and this we're going to read the rest of the prompt. We need basically the count of December. So basically this count, and we can even call this December count if we wanted to, divided by this count. We'll call the count 2 actually, which is a little less confusing. So basically we need to divide them in order to get the retention rate. How many users came back? Did the number go up or down? So if there was 3 and then there was 4, we should see it increase. And let's run this. We're going to call this as, what do they want to call this? Retention. That's a good name. Retention. And we are very close to solving this problem. As you can see, it passed this one, but it did not pass the next two. It just has them barely flipped. So what we need to do is, as we can see here, we need to do the January divided by December. So these should actually be flipped. And as we flip them, because that's how the instructions want it, the current month first, and let's rerun our, and hopefully it passes this time, and now it's solved. So now it is solved within this. And as I said, this isn't the hardest problem that's considered hard level. I would say it's definitely in the middle, but it's definitely the most practical problem, and it's going to be very useful to see how the company's performing. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section. Thanks.